and welcome to another edition of Tolland County Economy. I'm Drew Crandall, your host. Thanks for watching. Imagine starting a business from scratch, running it for years, then one night it is destroyed in a raging fire. That happened to one of our past TV show guests, Ryan's Deli, in 1990. And it happened to a couple who owned a bakery in Manchester in the fall of 2012. Now, after 2 years of work behind the scenes, the bakery is rising out of the ashes at a new location in Vernon. Joining me to talk about their journey are Dale and Jean Roberts, owners of the Great Harvest Bread Company. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
First of all, where did you grow up? You grew up in a place that has a little bit of snow in the winter?
Just a bit. Yeah, Buffalo, New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you went to elementary school, middle school, high school there?
Yeah. All of that went through my junior year, and then in my senior year, my dad got transferred up to Connecticut.
So for you, Connecticut was the Sun Belt.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting learning how to drive in ice instead of snow.
Right.
That's true.
Yep. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Hebron, Connecticut.
And you still live there today, right?
We still do, yes.
So you haven't strayed far from your roots.
Not too far. I have lived in South Windsor, Colchester, Manchester, but went back to Hebron.
Sure. And what was your path after high school? I understand you went to MCC?
Went to MCC.
Okay.
I was for programming.
Okay.
Got a job in Connecticut Mutual Life at the insurance company worked in their data center.
Okay.
And worked there for 16 years.
Okay.
Was part of a transfer with Mass Mutual, and that's where I met Dale.
Wow. So you came out of the insurance biz, both of you, and you had a little stint between college or high school and the insurance biz, something called the U.S. Air Force.
That's right. Yeah, we did 4 years.
Okay.
Had to didn't get overseas. Stayed in the U.S., but I got to travel a lot of different states. Denver, Las Vegas, and then finally New York.
So you meet at Mass Mutual. You're working in a department, and your department needs IT help, and he just happens to be the IT person that arrives to rescue you from your dilemma.
Of course.
And little did you realize that your lives would be interwoven ever since.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The joke is she gave up $80,000 for me because she was offered a package.
Yeah.
But she didn't take it.
So you meet, and one thing leads to another. And how do you go from insurance to baking bread?
Well, I was laid off in 2001. Dale and I talked about where we were going to go from there. He said, this probably would be your last job. What do you really want to do? And my passion was baking. So
Ever since you were a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always been in the kitchen baking cookies and cakes and pies and things like that. So I love doing that. So I went to MCC, took a couple extra classes, learning a little more of the specifics of baking.
So you went 2 rounds at MCC?
Yes.
Wow. Which is sort of the way a community college should be.
Exactly. Exactly. So we were customers of Great Harvest. So we knew the product, we loved the product, and we said, this is what we really want to do.
So it's a franchise?
It is a franchise.
Where is it based?
In Dillon, Montana.
Did you have to fly out there to franchise headquarters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, how did you discover Great Harvest? Where was the store?
Actually, the store was in Manchester.
Oh.
Yeah.
The store was there 7 years, I think, when we really got
it was owned
involved.
By,
in the same building that you were in?
In the same building, yes.
So the current franchisee sold the franchise to you?
To us.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Jim and Kathy Minicucci.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, neither of you two had ever run a small business before.
No.
So you went from corporate America and Air Force to small business.
Yes.
Was that process difficult, or did you just sort of slide right into it?
There were some areas that you're really not sure about.
But that's where the franchise really,
They're there to
and
help.
that's what appealed to us.
Right.
Was that support that they gave us.
Right.
And the crutch.
Yeah.
But soon you learn, the ropes and.
Yeah.
Between the two of us, we had been in management positions, so
Right.
we have dealt with, employees, and
Okay.
so that part wasn't that bad.
Okay. So you were located on Main Street in Manchester, in the historic district there. How many employees did you have in Manchester at the time?
We had 8 employees. We've
Okay.
had anywhere up to 15 employees.
Okay. And what kinds of baked goods do you make, back then and also now?
Whole grain breads, lots of different kinds of breads, sweet breads, savory breads, and we also make cookies, scones, muffins, quick breads.
Okay.
We make everything from scratch. We even mill our wheat, so our wheat breads are 100% whole wheat.
Okay. So from a financial standpoint, you must have a very good profit margin. You make a lot of bread.
We make a lot of bread. That's right.
So, so you're chugging along for 10 years or so, operating this franchise.
Yeah.
You're very well loved in the community. You have great products. You're chugging along. Life is good. And then one night, as you're watching sports on TV, you get a phone call, and all of a sudden, your world turns upside down.
Yeah.
Yes.
What happened?
Yeah, it was just.
Yes.
Well, actually, I was in bed. Jean was just coming to bed, and I heard out of the background something about fire, and I'm going, this is not good. This is not good. So I jumped up. I immediately started putting my clothes on.
Right.
Jean ran in, and off we went.
Right.
Drove in, and
It must feel like a bad dream.
yeah,
Very
it's
surreal.
Yeah, it's so surreal.
It seemed to take forever to get there.
Right.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
driving.
just-
What are we
Right.
going to see? Maybe it's not ours. Maybe
Right.
it's, maybe it's out.
Right.
Well, no, it was
Yeah.
pretty bad. But fortunately, nobody got hurt.
Right.
And but there was a lot of loss, not only for the landlord and the people that lived upstairs, but our business. As
Right.
well.
I mean, you were shut down in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, because you had corporate headquarters out in Montana,
Yeah.
how did they react to the fire? Were they supportive, or were they helpful? Did you find an aspect of running a franchise that was beneficial in a way that you never expected to experience?
Yes,
Yeah.
they. What's nice about Great Harvest is they call it a freedom franchise. You have freedom to choose what you want to bake,
Okay.
do what you want to do, but then you also have the support of them.
Right.
So they're not hounding you on.
Okay.
You
They're
have
not
to do
micromanaging you
No,
on every single little
no.
thing.
But anything you ask them,
Okay.
they're there.
Okay.
And they helped us with just helping to get things organized. We had to deal, of course, with the insurance company,
Right.
and that was a slow process.
Right.
When we were ready to start looking around for a new site, they sent their CEO out, spent a couple of days with us,
Wow.
helping
Yeah.
us in any way.
Yep.
And and it was really interesting because I probably 3 or 4 days later, a gentleman by the name of Nito Cobain, he was the chairman of Great Harvest at the time, and he's a well-known speaker around the world, very, very, very
Okay.
well-known. And he called us to express his condolences and anything that he could do to help us. And he worked closely with somebody from Manchester Community College.
There we go again.
Yep.
Right.
And they put on with funding from the franchise, they put on a Zumbathon, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it raised money for not only the people in the town that had lost, but
Right.
also us to help us pay our bills, which was
Right.
great.
Right. Sometimes people who, of course, God willing, they would never go through something like this. You never know unless you experience it. But were you pretty well covered by the insurance, or did you take a big hit outside of the insurance?
Well, you're never insured enough.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we did take
Yeah.
a little bit of a hit
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and you just got to buy. Now we have to buy smarter and
That's right.
wiser, and
Right. It's
we
almost
did.
like people who have a burglar alarm, after someone broke in, then they buy the alarm system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Sort of that principle. We're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the learning experiences, when we went to the convention in March, the bakery convention, that's all I did was when I talked to people would come forward and say, "Oh, you're so sorry you lost your bakery," and I would immediately just say to them, check your insurance.
Right. Right.
Make sure you have this.
Right.
Look out for this.
Right.
And they really appreciated it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, oftentimes I find in life, in a strange kind of way, our pain turns out to be for others' gain.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason. As
Everything
awful as this
happens for a
sounds.
reason. Yes.
Yeah.
So walk me through the journey. You've been out of business essentially for 2 years.
Just about.
So how do you make a living when you don't have an operation? Did you have savings that you could
Well, fortunately,
live
Dale
on?
is still working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
a full-time job still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a programmer. And
Okay.
so that helped
Yes.
It didn't hurt
carry
us
us
at
through.
home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so walk me through the genesis of figuring out where do we relocate, how do we rebuild? What was that journey like?
That was tough. We drove around Manchester, Glastonbury, South Windsor, Vernon, checked out any open spot. What is the square footage? What type of space is it?
Right.
The traffic, everything.
Yeah. And of course, the franchise is doing,
Their due diligence
their due
also.
diligence.
Right.
They're doing the traffic studies. They're
Right.
saying,
They're doing
this is a good
demographic
part.
studies.
The demographics over here look good.
Right.
And then guiding us from there.
Yep.
And we really wanted to stay in Manchester. We really did. We tried.
Right.
And we just couldn't find
Yep.
the right facility that could hold the bakery.
So how long ago did you come across the property that you eventually selected?
Geez, I think it was about maybe,
April?
yeah,
Okay.
April. It was a
Yeah.
while. It was
Okay.
a while.
So
And-
go ahead.
Yeah, and in doing so, it was actually by accident because the CEO of Great Harvest came out to help us do a site survey, and we went all over, and we were looking at Manchester, and we were talking with the real estate firm handling that shopping plaza, and he said, he says there might be a spot you might be interested in. It's in Vernon on Route
Right.
83. We drove out there. As soon as we drove in the parking lot, Mike Ferretti, our CEO, looked at it and said, "This is it.
Okay.
This is where you want to be."
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he knew by all the
Right.
site studies that he's done.
Right. So it's in the Cardio Express building on Route 83.
Yes.
You're facing Route 83.
Yes.
How many square feet do you have there?
It's a little over 2,500.
2550.
And by comparison, how many did you have in Manchester?
24.
Yeah.
Okay.
24.
So it's on one level.
Yes.
I understand one of the things that happened is you could actually work on the layout of the bakery with a clean sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we had the freedom to develop the bakery any way we wanted it, what would it look like?
Yeah, exactly. And with the floor plan that we were given, we were able to run it by the folks at the franchise.
Right.
They came up with a preliminary plan.
Okay.
And then we took that plan and modified it
Right.
to our needs. And then worked with the architect. And from there, it just really
Started
just
to
started to
develop.
come together.
Right.
Yeah.
And then now we're starting to work with the contractor.
Okay.
And what's nice is they're all affiliated with cardio and that building
Okay.
and putting it together. So
Right.
I thought it'd be a good idea to stay with
Yep.
that group instead of bringing a new person in to
Right.
have to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So you found the property in April. Did you have to sign a lease immediately to seal the deal, or are you easing into it? How did that?
no, yeah. The lease process, it was, having never been through it like
Right.
that.
Right.
It was interesting. It was educational. It took a while. It's a back and forth thing.
Right.
And finally, with the home office giving us advice and saying, you need to have this, and you need to negotiate that, and you need 8 tons of air conditioning, and all the particulars.
Who would know that?
Yeah.
Who would know that? And you need 400 amp service.
Right.
You got a lot of equipment going
Right.
in here, and you got a lot of BTUs. So let's get the air conditioning that you need. So, eventually you come to an agreement, and we did sign the lease, and they were really, really happy that we did. They wanted us in there.
Right.
They really did.
I can see some synergies with the health club there.
Yeah,
right around the corner.
Yeah, it's going to be very good for both our businesses,
How long
and
a
for the
lease-
other for the other businesses.
True.
Right.
In there.
As that building fills in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How long a lease typically do you have to sign?
It's a 10-year lease.
Okay.
10-year with 2 5-year renewals.
Right. Yep. So here we are. We're taping the show in November for broadcast in December. You've been busy beavers working with the contractor.
Yep.
You're chomping at the bit. I want to start baking.
That's right.
So,
yes.
when do you think you might open the doors? I know it's shooting at a moving target, but as of the taping here, what's your sense of the future here?
We're hoping mid to the end of January.
Okay. Yep.
We'll miss out on the holidays.
Right.
Plus, it'd be hard with construction during the holidays. People take time off, and
Right.
so we're hoping maybe by the
Right.
end of January.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you have to take a go with the flow attitude, otherwise you'll crack up, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
You can't control everything. You know.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right.
It's going to run its course.
My original plan was we should be in by October.
Right.
We'll be ready for the holidays.
Right.
That didn't work out.
That
Now,
didn't
based on your experience in Manchester, what kind of sales cycle do you have? I mean, if you open in mid to late January, is that sort of like the dead zone in bakery sales, or is it actually busy because it's cold and people want nice piping hot baked goods?
A little bit. January usually is slow.
Okay.
Everybody's on diets after the holidays.
Yep.
Things pick up for Valentine's Day,
Okay.
and then St. Patrick's Day, and
Right.
then you're back into the flow.
Okay.
Easter is very busy. Then it slows and steadies during the summer.
Okay.
And then once September comes around, October, things start picking up.
Okay.
I
So
think-
the fall is really peak season?
Yeah.
Historically?
Yeah.
November is our
historically.
busiest
Yeah,
month
yeah.
of the whole
Okay.
year.
I think this is going to be an interesting time, however, because it's going to be a grand opening, and because so many people
Right.
have wanted us back for so
Right.
long now. I think we're going to see quite a different change in that January to
Right.
Yeah.
to Valentine's Day
Right.
period. And,
Right. There's some pent-up demand here.
yeah,
right.
yeah. And
All
if
the
we can-
goodwill that you built.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Which is, I think, going to be good because we're going to have a lot of momentum going into
Right.
Easter.
Right.
Easter's huge.
Right. So what will your hours be like? How often will you be open?
Probably January, I'm sorry, Monday through Saturday. Opening 7:30 in the
Okay.
morning, I'm not sure.
Right.
And then closing 6:30, 7, I'm not sure exactly then,
Okay.
depending on the other stores and how active we are.
Sure.
If we're still busy at 6 o'clock, we can't shut the doors.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we're on a very busy street now,
Correct.
and there's some opportunity there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with people commuting and
Right.
going back to Rockville, Ellington area.
Right. And you have a traffic light, which is crucial,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
because trying to cut across 4 lanes of traffic on
Is not
83
easy.
to
That
take that
was-
left turn.
That was a big plus.
Yeah.
Oh, it's huge.
And the fitness center is
Yes.
always busy. So
Yep. So the demographics are different from downtown Manchester. There's more activity at other times of the day
Yes.
than you might have had in the historic district.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the biggest joys? Okay, let's pretend for a moment you're open and you're baking again and customers are coming in and you're back in your groove. What are going to be the things that you're going to enjoy the most besides baking? I know you'll be enjoying the baking, but what is it about doing what you do that you love?
I love being around the people.
Okay.
There are many times I could finish up what I need to do and leave. and I don't.
Okay.
I stay and I help the employees out. I like just talking with a lot of the customers. It's also a way that we can, we help with the community in many ways. So we've always got somebody coming in asking for a donation, something like that. So I like to find out what's going on in the community and see how we could help.
Right. And Dale, you work full-time. Do you anticipate getting out of the job in IT and zipping over to the bakery?
I
sort
do.
of doing double duty?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. You know, originally we had planned I would probably retire 5 years ago. With the economy the way it just wasn't in the cards.
Right.
So it was good. I stayed working, and the bakery actually did better throughout the recession each year, which was a surprise in a way, but you know, I think people needed that.
Comfort food.
Yes.
Exactly, that comfort food. And so now with the bakery coming back to life, and I think we're going to be doing very well. I'm 5 years closer to a retirement.
Yep. And I understand you were telling me before we started taping that you're going to expand your product offering some compared to Manchester.
Yes.
Could you explain that?
We're going to be offering sandwiches during the winter months, soup and sandwich, more extensive coffee line, doing the espressos and the lattes and cappuccinos and things like that. So that will be, and then we'll have a nice seating area, some tables and chairs that people could sit down and eat right there.
Great. So what do you anticipate being the biggest challenges?
Oh
Hiring a
boy.
new staff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you kept in touch with your old employees at all?
Yes.
Do any of them want to come back?
There are a few that can come back.
Oh, okay.
Most of them did get other jobs.
Of course. Life can't stop.
Yeah. Even our daughter.
Yeah, who was there?
Right.
Yeah, full time.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So she was my sweets baker. She
Yep.
did an excellent
Okay.
job, but
Right.
she had to move on too.
Sure. Well, maybe this TV show and our e-newsletter and our job bank will help to shake the tree and
That's all.
help to generate some candidates for you.
Sure.
I hope. Yeah.
Yep. Well, you come from Buffalo. You're homegrown here in Hebron in Tolland County. Why have you decided to spend virtually your entire life east of the river here in Tolland County and in this area? What is it about this area that you enjoy so much?
Really, my family is here.
Okay.
My parents still live in Hebron.
Okay.
My older sister lives in Hebron. And my younger sister, up until a couple years ago, lived really close also. So it's family. That has really kept me here.
Yep. Yep. And for you, you're a transplant from upstate New York.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever have this tug of the heart? Hey, I really want to go back to Buffalo.
Yeah, except this weekend.
Right.
Now with 3 feet of snow. And,
Right.
Yeah. I have relatives there. I go
Okay.
visit.
Yep.
But you know, my family's here now.
Right.
And
You have
my
roots here.
parents, my
Yes.
sister.
Yep.
My mom and dad moved to North Carolina 8 years ago.
Yep.
They're getting up there in their years. They moved back. They now live in stores.
Oh.
And yeah. So
Where do they live in
Nice.
stores? I'm curious. Did they buy a house or are they living in Store Center?
actually they're in Jensen's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and they love it there.
Yep.
They have nice friends.
Yep.
A very nice community for them.
Cool.
And it's close to myself and my sis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's we're fortunate that we both have
Yeah.
our parents.
Definitely. I'll say.
Yeah.
Having run a business now for a number of years, we alluded to this before. There are benefits to having a franchise operation because you're an entrepreneur, but you're not completely on your own.
Right.
Last month we had a new franchisee. He's opening in Tri-City Plaza in December with a Menchie's frozen yogurt franchise. And he was saying the same thing, that he likes the balance between entrepreneurship and having that corporate support.
Yes.
What advice might you give entrepreneurs besides checking your insurance? Based on your years of experience, maybe somebody's listening to this show and watching and saying, you know, I want to hear what they have to say. What are some nuggets of wisdom you might want to share?
I think mainly like what you do.
Yeah.
Pick something that,
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of hours.
Yeah.
We were there 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And he would come in and then go off to his full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be there till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
And then when we're home, you still have paperwork and things like
Right.
that. It's a passion you really have to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you enjoy what you do.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you can look at it where I've seen people say, "Oh, it must be wonderful. You own your own business." Yes, it has it is wonderful, but it also has its moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody.
It's
Right.
not for
It's a
everybody,
lot of work.
and you really have to stay on top of the technology that's coming around, the way you hire people now, the human resource end of the business now.
Yep.
You
You have to be very diligent.
You have to be diligent, and all
And there are
these,
things you love to do, like baking, but you could be a great baker and go out of business tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot more than being a good baker to
Right.
run a business.
That's
It's,
right.
there's a balance.
Yeah. And we all have a tendency to want to do what we love to do
Right.
and ignore those things that really aren't as pleasant and enjoyable. But you have to look at it holistically. Yep.
And patience.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're going to have good weeks, bad weeks, good seasons, bad seasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then with what's all that's happened, there's a modernization that we've gone through
Right.
now.
I'm sure. Right.
We've gone now, which is part of my knowledge base, but we're putting together the point of sale systems,
Okay. Sure.
and to help track a little better,
Right.
make it easier at the counter,
Right.
a faster response to the customer,
Yep.
and also to be able to track the customer, communicate with the customer, because we can collect information, we can offer them specials,
Right.
and have a better control on those people that we want to see come back
Yeah.
time and
It'll
time
be
again.
automating things
Right.
a little bit better than us doing it all manually,
Right.
which takes time.
Right. So I'm watching you two, and it's very cool to see a husband and wife, the teamwork involved. You're the baker. You don't need necessarily all that IT to bake,
Right.
but you need IT to run the business.
That's right.
So you complement each other very well.
Exactly. Yes.
And out of the ashes of this historic building comes this brand new modern building, heavily computerized. It's almost like you've recreated the bakery and you've jumped ahead a couple centuries in the process.
Yes.
In some respects,
Right.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, this half hour flew by. What is your website?
www.ghbreadct.com.
Could you repeat that?
www.ghbreadct.com.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
We can't wait to see you open. And thank you for persevering through the valley,
Oh,
and
yeah.
good things are ahead.
Well, thank you for having us.
You bet.
Okay.
And thank you for watching. Please visit our website, TollandCountyEconomy.com. That's TollandCountyEconomy.com. Remember, we have a free e-newsletter. We have a free e-job bank if you're interested in seeing who we've had on the show in the past. And we have a hot link now. Eventually, it takes a little bit, but you'll be able to watch this interview online on the CVC website as well, in addition to Thursday nights at 7. So thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this interview. Please check out the Great Harvest Bread Company in Vernon.